Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. As always, I have an incredible guest with me today, and I'm super excited to get to talk to him, get to learn from him, and get to connect with him on this podcast. And before I introduce him to you, though, I just want to ask all of you for a favor. I want to ask you that if you get some value out of this podcast, if you learn a new skill, if you get an insight, if you get a mindset shift, if you get maybe some motivation or maybe some inspiration to go out, take some action, and keep on moving forward towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this episode with someone that you think this might impact. Share it with someone you think is interested in real estate, someone who wants to be the best that they can be across all areas of their life, and help us share our message. Help us help other people. And to all of you who share, I say thank you. And today, I have with me Tyler. I'm not gonna try to say your last name, man. Is that cool?
It's all right.
Tyler. And he bought his first 21 units. No, he bought his first apartment at 21 units in his first year. Yeah. Let's see. What is it? A bunch of issues, man. A bunch
21.
Of
no, it's all good. It's 21 units first year.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So he bought his first property was at 21 years old, right? Starting with with flipping businesses, but eventually turned into a large multifamily business 5 years later. So you bought 21 units your first year owning apartments, and now you bought and sold over 73 units and building an additional 10 luxury STR townhome units in front of the ocean in Florida. So basically, you've been in real estate for a couple of years. Before 30, you were able to build a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Super excited to talk about that, man.
Yeah.
This today has been full of glitches, but it's all good. So thank you very much for being here, man. I really appreciate that, and you're welcome to the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Just like entrepreneurship, man, there's always glitches. You got to work through it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. So the first thing that I do with my guest, Tyler, is I actually ask them to walk us through their real estate investing journey in 75 seconds or less.
Okay. I probably did. Yeah. So you want me to say it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I started at 21 years old. I started with single family flips. I did that for about, 4 to 5 years. I realized that, it's basically you're replacing a job, and, you can make a lot of money, but, I use it as a learning experience and as leverage to eventually get into multifamily. So I got into a position where I was able to buy 21 units the first year. And I believe I did that in 2018, to be honest with you. So that was the start of it. And then it just scaled from there. We focus on heavy value add properties where buildings are completely vacant. We bought buildings, gutted them right to the studs, rebuilt them 95% new. We're doing new construction now, just like stuff like this that you see in the background. That's kind of the quality of what we're doing. Yeah, man, I mean, I love real estate for what it is. I absolutely love it for like the architecture, not just numbers. It's my passion. It's what drives me. And at the end of the day, with the thought process that I have now is, what can we do to use real estate to be able to give back? So, that's kind of what journey I'm on now, to see what good you can do in the world. So, and that goes through a lot of different, ways as well.
Cool. I like that. One of my values is growth and contribution, right? So you've grown so much, and now you're at a point in which you are able to think about not only yourself, but about contributing to other people, right? And I want to talk a little bit more about that, but before I go into that, man, let's go back, right? So you mentioned how single family, right? You started like flipping homes and stuff, and
Yeah.
you realized that it was like a job. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, you can only systemize that business so much. And I mean, you probably hear a lot of people that, they talk about, hey, you can do 50, 100 houses at a time. I mean, you totally can. But it's just, when you're comparing single family to multifamily, it's not even comparable whatsoever. I mean, you can create multiple systems for multifamily. You hire a third party management company to run your stuff, right? Versus you're doing the flip game, right? You can create all the systems in the world, but you're still requires a ton of energy to make that
Mm-hmm.
business successful long term. Versus you.
Hello, modern kings and queens. I'm sorry for the interruption. I know you're enjoying the episode, but I have something super important that you must listen to. If you've been following this podcast for a while now, it's because of one of two reasons. Number one, you aspire to have it all, to unlock your potential across all areas of your life and achieve true freedom physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and of course, financially. And or number two, you're a real estate investor or an aspiring real estate investor who has chosen to use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle to achieve financial freedom. My mission as part of the Modern Kings and Queens movement is to help as many people as I can achieve financial freedom using the vehicle of real estate. And I believe that networking can be an incredibly powerful tool to help you unlock your potential across all areas, but more importantly, financially. More specifically, in real estate. I believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why I created the 4-step capital raising networking system to help real estate investors propel their growth by using a reliable system that will consistently help them connect with their ideal investors, build trust, add value, get their investors to promote them and put them in front of more investors, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that they can become successful, not only financially, but across all areas of their life. If this is something that you want, and this is something that you're interested in, click the link below to gain access to a training that will explain the 4 steps to building a high leverage network that you can use to raise millions of dollars in capital, propel your growth in real estate, and achieve financial freedom in a much more effortless way so that you can have more time and energy to pour into every single other area of your life so that you can become successful, not only financially, but across all areas of your life. In this training, you will learn 4 things. Number 1, aligned connections. I'll show you how to network effectively and how to make sure that your networking efforts work by leveraging a secret, little known concept called the cloak track. Number 2, networking tool. I'm gonna reveal to you a secret networking tool that the top 5% of successful real estate investors use to become successful. And I'm gonna show you how you can use it too to become successful and get out of that 95% of real estate investors that don't really make it. 3, high status communication. In order for someone to invest in you, they have to feel like they know you, like you, and trust you. A lot of people can communicate, but very few can connect. High status communication will allow you to build trust and add value in a way that will make people feel like they know you, like you, and trust you for years in a time span of 30 minutes. And lastly, the 4th thing is the attention multiplication machine. The world doesn't run on oil anymore. It runs on attention. And this last thing, the attention multiplication machine, will show you how to get wealthy investors to promote you and put you in front of more wealthy investors so that you can raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way. So if this is something that interests you, click the link below to go watch the training. Make sure you stay all the way to the end. If you find value and you want to book a call to talk about how you can get this completely offhand system, completely done for you system, implemented for you in the next 5 days. So click the link below. I'll see you on the other side. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of your episode. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You don't even need that much energy at all if you're doing multifamily. You just need to know the right moves, the right systems, and the right people, right? And you can scale it quickly if you have the right knowledge. So you're dealing with contractors all the time with single family. That is a full-time job in itself, and you need to have the GCs in place, and you have to know how to manage people. It's a lot. The way I look at it is the way I look at it is you can be doing the same strategy, but on steroids Do it with multifamily. You know what I mean? Why
At a
not get
bigger
cash
scale.
flow with it? Yeah. Flip multifamily. I mean, I've always wondered that with people that invest in single family, like I think like why do they stick around with single family when you can do that with multifamily too? You just
Yeah,
find
for
value
sure.
add properties. So
So what do you think people? So like, what do you think is the main thing that holds most real estate entrepreneurs back from like making that shift, man? And that
mhm.
most start in single family, and then eventually they're like, they're like, there's a shift, and they're like,
Mm,
damn, I can do that, right? With
yeah,
less energy, less time, more money, more leverage, and then they
literally.
eventually make the jump, right? But it takes a lot of time, right? Like the gap between
Yeah.
doing single family and then actually realizing that multifamily is better and that you can leverage a lot more things, people,
Mhm.
systems, capital, and all of that. The gap between those two is years for most real estate entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
right? So what do you think is the main thing that makes that gap so long, so big?
That's a $1 million question. I've been studying, friends of mine and people doing this, and wondering because they're more than capable of doing, multifamily, and they yet refuse to do it, or they want to do it but they feel stuck. And I'm like, they're so skilled, it's ridiculous. So I've always wondered the same thing, and from my observations, it's a lot of time it's fear. It's definitely fear. Which is false evidence appearing real, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and it's just made up stuff because they know how to flip a property, they know how to deal with contractors, they know how to work numbers, right? They know how to, they really, I think what it comes down to is collecting rents and property management, and stuff like that, right? So that's part of it. But then say you have a single family flip person who goes and does a long-term rental with a single family house. So there's no difference, but yet they do 1 to 3 to 4 units instead of doing 10, 20, 30 units at a time. So I don't know if it's just the thought process of thinking bigger, or maybe low confidence in that because they didn't make the jump. It's just like anything, you're scared to make that jump. So I think sometimes you gotta go for it. You gotta take the risk. You gotta take the risk, and not be afraid of failure. Really.
It's definitely fear, and then it's definitely some mindset issue, right? Maybe that you don't feel like you're worth it, or you don't feel capable, or so there's definitely like fear in there, and then also like a mindset issue of why you can't, like some story going on of why you
Yeah.
can't. Because like you said, like if you're doing single family, you know how to flip, you know how to find deals, you know how to do basically everything and even more. But for some
Mhm.
reason, you're just holding yourself back. So that didn't happen to you though, right? You used single family to set yourself
Yeah.
up to buy 21 units in your first year. So how did that
Yep.
look like, man? How did getting set up to be able to do that move look like?
I think I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't fearful because I definitely was. I was studying this around 16, 17 years old. You know what I mean? So it took me a long time to really get there. I mean, to be honest with you, the single family was nothing but a distraction to me.
Mm.
It distracted me for that long. Cause it, took my mind away from going to the multifamily because I was so in it. But really, if I just focused on it, maybe if I did a couple houses and I was just focused on acquiring the multifamily right off the rip, you know what I mean? I feel like, dude, I would have been a lot more successful, early on versus now. And yeah, I mean, like I said, like I was studying this stuff ahead of time. So for me, when I made the move to buy all those units, it was really easy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I just kept acquiring, kept buying, and but the management process, I mean, you can read all about it in the books, but until you experience it, it's a totally different ball game. And back then I was more involved, so I had to learn a lot of stuff the hard way, and which I don't encourage that for anybody, which is why people should be getting mentorship and coaching from the right people,
For
to
sure, yeah.
eliminate that. Yeah.
And and how did you fund that first deal? Did you use the money that you had made from your single
Good
family for a year?
question. I saved up a lot of money from the flips. I know that. So I had a lot of my own money, um, which is kind of funny too, because when I did my single family flips, I I was buying stuff with my own money too. I was closing houses cash, all cash, my money. So it's like I did things backwards, 100% backwards when I started, and it did stunt my growth for sure. Looking back, I wouldn't do things the same way whatsoever. You can get partners, joint venture partnerships, stuff like that. There's so many strategies, seller financing, creative financing, on stuff nowadays, especially right now in this market. So, between a lot of those different things is how, I like to go about things now. So.
And in that first deal, you didn't use any of those like financing strategy. You used your own money in the bank.
Honestly, it's so long ago. I'm trying to think. I think some of it. Well, I used banks. I definitely had banks that I bought it with, so I used my money for down payment. I know my first deal, I definitely used my own money. And then I think I got a partnership. It was after 21 units though, so that was when I finally partnered up with somebody. But that was it. One partner. I didn't go source it from a million people or whatever. That's just the way I do business. I don't like to do that. So, but yeah, I mean, that just shows you the possibilities of what's out there. So there's a lot of, information out there, what you can do. And I think people just get very distracted and, shiny object syndrome. They're like, boom, go there, everywhere. Realistically, you just got to focus on your strategy and perfect your strategy. Like you said, so you can be the best at what you do, right? Whatever that is that you decide to do. So multifamily, you can do what I do, value add stuff. You can build new construction, whatever, right? I mean, I like doing that stuff. Or you can buy a turnkey asset and you barely have to do a thing to it, right? And you're buying it for cash flow, right? So there's totally different type of investment strategies and the type of investor that you are as well. And I think you just got to fine tune that and be the best at that strategy.
So there's something really interesting that I heard you say on another interview that I watched from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also answered it in the question that I asked you when we booked this podcast, right? Which is something really interesting, which is that you can see things that others can't in a deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean by that, man? And like, can you walk me through what you mean by that and give me and share with me like a story when you were able to see something that someone didn't, and then you just trusted yourself and went for it, and it ended up being a success?
Yeah, there's some things I can explain and some things I can't. I think I just have a gift at what I do, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and they asked me like, break it down like you're a doctor, surgically break it down. And I'm like, honestly, you can't, because I'm like, it's a full recipe. I'm like, you got to know how to do this, A, B, C, D, and E, and you got to bring it all back together to do the main thing of buying a property. And like, it's just not a simple process, but you got to know all the steps ahead of time. Part of it is when I'm driving, I drive for dollars a lot.
Cool.
So that's something I really like to do because I'm very visual and, I can see the opportunity. I'm a visionary, you know what I mean? So I can be driving down the street. Yeah, let me give you an example. So I was driving to a meetup the other day and it was nighttime. And I just glanced to the left on the side of the highway and I see a vacant 100-unit property with boarded up windows. And I'm like, boom, opportunity. So then I go to my team and I go to my systems and I start plugging in and doing the research. And then, it's just pure opportunity. And it's exactly what I thought. So now I just reverse engineer the whole process, find the owner, we cold call the owner, and then we got to hold the owner the next day. And then that's just how this whole thing just starts. It's just like the ball just starts moving. Not always is it going to be a deal, but if you're getting 10 of those leads, you're eventually going to strike a deal. You know what I mean? So I'm just really good at finding opportunity, like you said, that people cannot see, just because I'm not afraid to look for it. Everybody's so afraid to look for the opportunity because they talk themselves out of it before they even commit to it.
That's
right?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, I can't afford that. Or, oh, that's too big for me. I always say like, don't ever look at the size. Don't look at the dollar amount. Don't look at anything. Just look at the opportunity itself. And then you can reverse engineer how to buy that property, how to do it. That's how you get assets. That's how you actually build wealth. And it actually takes the fear away once you start doing that.
That's a great mindset shift, man. And actually, it's a very empowering and limitless mindset shift because to think that you can look at the opportunity, no matter how big it is, and no matter if you have the money or not, right? You just like look at the opportunity, and then you can reverse engineer on how you're gonna buy it. Is like
Yeah.
really empowering, right? Because that means that anyone can do it.
Literally, that's what I'm saying. Like anybody can do it if you set your mind on it and you want it. You know what I mean? I just think like I'm sure you see behind me, right? Like mindsets. Like listen here, I put this here for myself. You know what I mean? To remind myself of mindset. You know, and this stuff here, right? So like I'm always trying to keep myself in check, right? Because I know that's what makes me what I am,
Yeah.
right? So I watch people on a daily basis. I coach people too, and it's the common theme. You know, people are just talking themselves out of things first. It's a negative mindset, right? They're like, I can't. It's just the words, and it's going in their mind. They're thinking this. They're not
And it
saying it.
happens
They're
so
thinking it.
automatically that they don't even notice it, right? That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's why if you pay attention to people, like, you know, if you observe interactions with people when you're talking about real estate or whatever, you'll notice that people start retracting depending on what you say to them. And it's usually because of their limited mindset, right? Because they're telling themselves these things internally that, oh, that's too big or I can't do it. But meanwhile, if they had positive energy and like I'm big into manifestation. So, you
Hmm.
know, letting the universe
Me
do its
too.
work. So for me, you know, that's part of the gift aspect, right? I just allow it to happen and I don't close my mind off to these things and it just comes to me, you know. I tested that theory the other night in New York City with negotiation between me and my friend. And he tried to get us access to a stand-up comedy show. And he did it his own way, you know, like trying to negotiate with the person up front because it was sold out, right? And I just went through, I said, all right, you did your strategy. Now I'm going to do my strategy. I'm like, she's vibrating at a high frequency. I go, I'm going to try to match the frequency. And it's just like, it's just good energy. So I went in there. I'm like, you know, I predict, I go, this is going to happen. We're going to get in. Like positive thoughts. This is all going to work out. We're not going to stress it, not going to force it. You know, I politely asked her, you know, I said, you know, with this group of people, it'd be really nice if you can get us in. I totally understand if you cannot. I go, but I got a good feeling. I believe in luck, and I totally believe that you're gonna be able to get us in. Dude, what do you think she did? She came back to us 5 minutes later. Not only did she get us in, but she said, "All right, we got you all 4 seats available before the show even starts." And yeah, so like it just worked out. And my friend was like, "Whoa!" He's like, "Yeah, that's some real stuff." I'm like, "Yeah." Like you're trying to like force it. I'm like, "No, just let it work." You know, like
Yeah, man,
so.
that's really cool. And it's like I think real estate is one of the best business models that like works with manifestation. Because like because
Yeah.
it's so physical, right? And the
Hmm.
manifestation things are like happen on the physical world, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's really cool. And like things that you think are coincidence are definitely not, right? Like just like what you said, right? Like what you
Meant
the
to
story that
be.
you mentioned right now. Yeah,
You got to
for
listen
sure.
to it though. You got to pay attention and be aware of your surroundings, be aware of it. And I think just people block their minds off this stuff. That's all. Just be aware of yourself.
So man, from operating deals, finding deals, raising capital, underwriting, and from everything that there is to do when it comes to real estate investing, what is your main thing? Like, what is it that you're focused on?
Yeah, like I said, it's like it's value add properties. You know, I look for real hitter deals. You know what I mean?
Finding deals?
I'm like
Okay.
finding deals, acquisitions is my number one strategy. It's the what I'm the best at. You know, needle in a haystack kind of stuff is what I find. You know, a lot of people will look for 1,000 leads and send mailings out or cold call 1,000. They have a whole team doing that. Dude, I look for 10 leads and nurture the hell out of them. You know what I mean? Like I sent them gift baskets. We just sent somebody wine and cheese and stuff like that because they're Italian. You know, like it's just like we really nurture our leads and I build relationships with people. So that's what's important to me. And you know, it's not just to buy a deal because I have deals. I
Hmm.
want to build more relationships with people, right? I want to know I'm
Yeah.
gonna get repeat business with people, you know, because the people that I'm talking to, they don't just own one 20 unit building. You know, most of the time they own 50 plus units. So they're just selling me one asset. It's just one building, and then it's repeat business, you know? So that's my mindset towards it. And I mean, who knows? They might know somebody, they might have referrals or whatever, or I become good friends with them. You know, like that's just the way I look at it. It's just a different, it's not, I'm not chasing dollars. I'm not chasing money. I totally believe in that. I think when people chase money, they make mistakes, and they're big mistakes. So I think when you chase the opportunity, you know, and you're looking at it differently, like I was just mentioning, building relationships, you'll have a better outcome, and you'll be in business a lot longer as well.
Grant Cardone, man, like I've read a ton of his books, you know, and that's what he always talks about. So I really like that, man. So what do you think is like the main skill a real estate investor should have?
The main skill an investor should have, let's see. Well, you gotta be willing to learn all the time. It's never gonna stop. So open-mindedness, and pick your niche. Like I said, pick your niche, you know, and focus on that niche. Become the best at it. Study it up. You know, you want to be a property manager, be the best at it. You know, maybe you want to do storage units, right? Or mobile home parks or whatever. Like, you know, pick that niche, buy those assets, and then keep buying them until you're like perfected it. And then you move on to another strategy or something like that. Like, don't go buy, you know, storage units in a multifamily complex or whatever, and then you're all over the place, because they're totally different strategies. You're going to be distracted all over the place, and you don't really get anywhere, you know? So that's all I would say, you know, just be an open book, you know, but focus. That's
such an important lesson, man, because like it applies to everything, right? So like you could even have your ideal property that you buy, right? So you could have it on the finding deal part. So you just focus on finding a specific type of property, and then on the capital raising side, you just focus on an ideal investor, right? On a specific type of investor, right? And then in business, your ideal client avatar, right?
Yeah.
And like this niche thing, this focus thing applies to everything, and it's so right. So for example, right now, man, I'm working. I just came through a realization of I'm building a big team in my company, and I'm trying to build a really good culture, right? The culture of modern kings and queens. And I realized that you even have to find your niche in that, like in the way that you recruit, right? Like you have to be focused and focus on recruiting a specific type of person, right?
Yep.
And if you're trying to, for example, build a culture of happy people, well, don't go out and recruit sad people and try to make them become happy. No, well, just recruit happy people, right?
Exactly.
So it applies to everything, and it's so important, man. And I think that the main reason why people don't niche down and focus is because of scarcity. What do you think about that?
Yep. Yeah, no, that 100%, you know, scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset, you know, like it goes back into manifestation, you know, and stuff like that. Like you want to attract the right people, and you got to put yourself in that position that you will attract these people, you know? So, when I see people operating on a scarcity mindset is when I see people being unethical and doing things they shouldn't be doing, or buying the wrong stuff, or, you know, it just gets you in a bad position mentally, versus an abundance mindset. You know, there's more of it, right? So
for sure.
You can, so you get one asset or whatever. Say something doesn't work out, right? Because I've had this happen, right? So say you lose an opportunity and you're bummed out because you're like, you thought in your mind it was a solid opportunity, which it was, right? But you're like, man, a lot of people retract, right? When COVID hit, right? People retracted, right? So when that happens, I expand. I do the opposite. I remind myself, hey, this is an opportunity to expand. So, so that particular situation that happened with, I changed my mindset. Don't get me wrong, man. I was bummed out for a day, but then the next day or two, I shifted my mindset really quickly. And, you know, I started thinking there's plenty out there. There's more deals around the corner. I will find something that will 10x this property. And what do you know? What did I do? It was literally like two weeks later, dude, a building double the size came up for half the value. I got it for 50% off. It was just insane how it works out. And that's what I was just saying, man, like, don't force it. Let things ride out sometimes. You know, there's always a reason. And, you know, you just got to pay attention to the signs, man. Got to pay attention. And also, like, don't block out the opportunity, because this particular deal, I normally would have blocked it out because of the location of it and where it was. So I just kept an open mind. I was like, hey, let me just look into this further. I drove out to the property. I got my eyes on it. I'm like, whoa, this is way different than I thought. Yeah. And I struck the deal right then and there, you know?
That's an awesome insight. Like, there's more of it. So like, entrepreneurs are afraid to like niche down because they don't think there's going to be enough. Like that's something that I found myself doing, you know, about a couple of months ago, right? Like I was serving the entire world. And the reason that I was doing that, man, wasn't to like serve the entire world, but because of fear of not being enough of my ideal clients, right?
Yeah.
And but even if your client was like blue-eyed Chinese guys who owned a dog and had 2 kids and they lived in a, like, there will still be thousands and thousands of them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's crazy. But yeah, man, that's awesome. So so you coach, right? You coach real estate investors. Tell me a little bit about your coaching program. What is it called? Who's it for? What is it about?
So we're actually changing it now. I brought a team on there that's doing it with me. We're launching it, actually, a new one right now. So I closed off the old one I had that I started, and it, you know, team mentorship, you know, is the main, you know, company that we're you know, making this thing. But we just launched another one, multifamilyscaling.com, I believe it is, and that one is, you know, where we bring a group of people in, and I try to show them all, you know, everything I'm doing, like legit, like how to find a deal, you know, how to finance the deal creatively, you know, all these types of strategies. You know, I mean, how do you even know what to look for in the first place, right? Like, what are the signs of a distressed property or a distressed seller when it doesn't even look like a distressed property, right? Because the seller could be distressed, right? So like, these are the things I show people, and I give them a community too. Like, so that's kind of what I'm creating, a community now. And we're going to be focusing on more masterminds coming up too. Because I just bought a property in Florida that we're closing on, and as a short-term rental, so we're going to do a bunch of masterminds there.
Nice. So where are you located at, man?
So I'm in Connecticut right now, but I also you know, go to Florida as well. So we're going to be living in Florida mostly.
Okay.
So
cool.
I'm a big Florida fan.
And yeah, me too. And so what deals do you got going on? Are you looking to raise capital for deals, or like, when it comes to like real estate investing, do you have any opportunities open up for, you know, like for the public, let's say?
Yeah, no, I don't raise capital like that. Like I said, like I'm more focused on relationships. So like for me, you know, if I built up a connection with somebody for a long time, and somebody, you know, I trust to do business with, and, you know, then I'll do a deal with them. You know what I mean? But I mostly focus on joint ventures, you know, that kind of strategy. But mostly, honestly, most of my stuff I've done myself. So, you know, like the Florida one we're building, like that one's a unique situation. So that one it's been actually very difficult, to be honest with you. Took me a lot longer than I ever anticipated to even get to the breaking ground point, just because we had deed restrictions and stuff like that I had to get through. So challenging for sure. But yeah, no, dude, I have tons of deal flow all the time. That is definitely one of my skill sets. Like, I've never had a problem finding deals in any of these markets that we've been through. I like crazy deals right when COVID went skyrocket high. Like I said, I found that building, I got half the value, and I actually sold the property, doubled the value, legit doubled the value of the property in a matter of like a little over a year. So, you know, but our main focus right now is Florida. Southern markets, 100%, the government friendly. You know, I'm from the Northeast, you know, originally, and it's not government friendly whatsoever for landlords. It's actually very difficult to be a landlord, and you get challenged a lot on a daily basis from tenants, and, you know, it's everything. And it's just, For me, it's not worth it versus you go to a southern market where, they're in favor of a landlord. It makes it a lot easier to do business, and you
For
can buy
sure.
bigger properties. There's more population. You can buy way bigger properties down there.
So man, so apart from like driving from dollar for dollars, what other effective strategy do you have to find deals? If you can walk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's all, like I said, it's all your network. So for me, it's like, well, people just like, I know up northeast, I get calls all the time, like, because they know what I've done or whatever. So it's all like off market stuff, et cetera. Also brokers. So this is something I would say. So if you're going to go tackle the bigger properties, you got the small agents, the small brokers, and you got the big brokers, the real whales. So the big brokers are the ones that Grant Cardone's working with, right? So those are the guys that they're not easy to get in the door with, because they're going to send you a crappy deal just to test you out to see if you think it's a crappy deal or not. Like, they're going to play with you, you know what I mean? Versus a smaller agent, they're going to spend more time with you because they're hungry for deals all the time. You know what I mean? So, I think the hardest part about any business is starting off, especially real estate. It's really tough getting off the ground. But once you get your name out there and you close deals, because that's what brokers care about, are you a closer or not? When people go into a deal, they give an LOI or they give an offer and then they back out for some nonsense reason, that reputation is going to follow you. So like, you got to make sure that you keep that reputation strong, not even just for yourself, but just like, so that broker knows that and they'll call you, you'll be the first on the list that they call because they know you're a strong buyer. So that takes time. Unfortunately, you got to nurse the relationship, goes back into the relationship. But if you are patient enough, that will, it'll outweigh everything, honestly, because, you might expecting you're going to get a 10 unit from somebody, but then they give you a 50 unit killer deal, but that was worth waiting 2 years for, or a 100 unit deal, so I would say brokers, if your skill set is not cold calling or sending mailings out, or, boots on the ground, going to the properties and door knocking, or like, it could be legit people's, where their companies, the owners of the apartment buildings or whatever. Like to me, like, I'm not afraid of that stuff at all. So it doesn't bother me, but like, just figure out what your skill set is first, what you're comfortable with, start there, and then try to challenge yourself over time and break your comfort zone over time to get these types of deals. Cool. And then understand what a good deal looks like and a bad deal looks like.
Awesome, man. So we have a couple of minutes left, and I end my interviews with a couple of questions. All right. So the first one is, if you could go back in time, man, to like when you just were getting started in real estate, and give yourself some advice to make your journey go a lot smoother, faster, easier, what would you tell yourself?
Honestly, pick up a book and seek the right mentor. And it could be so many forms of different, like, mentorships. It's totally different. Like, you can get a book, that's one mentor. You can get a local investor in the area that's doing what you want to be doing, right? Shadow that guy, but he ain't going to do it for free unless you're providing value to him. Like, go around and say, hey, I'll be your helper. If you want to do the single family game, like, this is what I did when I first started. I went around and I went to other flippers, the number one flippers in that market. I would go drive to the properties when it was in the open house stage, or they were just selling it. I'd go through, see everything they're doing, and like write down all their colors, the granite type they're doing, everything. And I would just reverse engineer it back, and then I would do better than them on my stuff. It is what it is, or I contact those people and then offer value to them. And that, like I said, for anybody, it could be like, hey, I'll be your helper. I'll send emails out for you, whatever. Like, just something that they think that's a pain point that they need solved. And then you're going to get free mentorship by doing that. Sure. Or if you want to cut time, because time is money, right? You want to cut time, freaking pay the 10 grand. Go to a legit person or more. Go to a mastermind somewhere and then get the golden nuggets when you want it on demand. You know what I mean? That's really how you grow. It's not about learning everything. I mean, you're gonna go through that when you first start. That's why you're gonna need like coaching to learn the basics. But once you actually know the rhythm of how to do this, it's all about the golden nuggets. All about the golden nuggets. And then you're gonna pay 20 grand to get literally one conversation with somebody that can make you $1 million because there's just the right thing that clicked for you. That's when you start getting to real strategy and making real moves. And you can't be afraid to spend money because, people retract on 20, 10 grand. You cost yourself $1 million. That's the way I look at it,
For sure. Yeah.
So definitely mentorship and seeking help.
Awesome, man. The next question is, what is a limiting belief, man, that maybe you have or you see other real estate investors have, like when they're first beginning in this business, that holds them back? And then how do you break it?
Limited belief that I've seen, age is one of them for sure. I definitely had that limited belief myself, actually. So age was a real struggle because I started young, you know what I'm saying? So I started, really, really young. So I actually still struggle with this today, to be honest with you. So when I meet like owners of properties, they're like 80 years old, they always bring up my age and I don't bring it up. And then I got to work through the objection every time, or it's a struggle because I get blocked. And it's like, you got to earn the respect every single time if somebody doesn't know you, which is normal. But so that's something that to me is a limited belief because, anything is possible. Doesn't mean it's easy, but you can totally do it. You got to break through the barriers. So because of that, people, like I said, they might quit before they ever start. But I just want to say right now, like, listen, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You can be 18, whatever, like set your mind to it. You're going to be able to do it. But just remember core principles. Don't be chasing money though. You know what I mean? Chase quality of life, chase ethics, be a moral person and do the right thing, and remember patience. And,
Awesome, man. That's great. The next question, the last one is, what is a successful networking strategy that you know about that you yourself implement to network and make connections, make relationships?
Did you say marketing or I heard that?
No, networking.
Sorry, networking. So I mean, there's different strategies. If you're first starting off, go to real estate meetups. Local. I don't even know. It could be a 10, 20, 30 person group. Or so go to those meetups regularly, get connected to people, start, growing the relationships to people. And then you're probably going to end up growing out of that at some point. And then you start looking for bigger masterminds, like I was talking about, right? So then you start getting used to things and then start spending money to get a part of a different network of people. And then it's just amazing how it can grow from there. Or you can put yourself out there, like you're doing podcasts. That's a great networking strategy as well. But for me, I'm more old school like that. I like to meet people in person, build those authentic relationships. So, to me, I'm very focused on that.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks. And man, so if people wanna find out more about what you're doing, you're starting a coaching program to help people get started in real estate investing as well. And you're going to transfer them all of your experience and knowledge in a very, how can I call this, efficient format. So where would be the best place for people to connect with you, man?
Yeah. So like I said, we're just launching now again, but it's going to be, like I said, I think it's multifamilyscaling.com is going to be one of our sites here. But if you really want to connect with me, just, direct message me on Instagram, Tyler Mikolajcik, just DM me privately and just say mentor or whatever. And maybe get on a call with me or my team to see if you're a good fit.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been great, man. Thank you very much. I know we had some trouble, but we were able to solve it and get past it, and had a great time talking to you. So that's it, man. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
See you later. Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we're super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.